I could not be more excited. What's good, everybody? Welcome in. Things are going to change just a little bit this week here at the fastest growing pro wrestling brand in all of the land. Now, we're still going to do 2 shows a week. We're still going to almost every single day start around 1 p.m. Eastern time. But you're also going to kind of get a peek behind the curtain as we are going to be recording our new stadium show available in over 110 million homes. It will air this week at 5 p.m. Eastern time on Stadium, and then our normal time will be every single week starting June 4th, next Wednesday at 11 p.m. Eastern time. So we're going to kind of morph the 2 things together. So before we officially get started, let's bring in my partner, and it's hard to believe. I'm going to pat him on the back a little bit because, Vince, this is a big deal. And you and I started the show last August, so we're about 9 months in. And where we have gone, the growth we've had, it's for the fans. But now we're going to be on Amazon Prime, DirecTV, YouTube TV, the biggest network in the country, essentially over 110 million homes. How about that?
Coach, and I think I already, I think I messed up, Coach.
What'd you
out
do?
of the gate, the big time. I don't know if I'm ready for the big time. I think I messed up, Coach. I think I messed up royally.
How'd you mess up?
Well, when you said a little peek behind the curtain, what came to my mind immediately was the new show on Netflix, the Unreal. Do I need to go put on my suit and tie, Coach? Like, is this a suit and tie thing? If we're gonna go behind the curtain,
if you hear the doorbell ring, that's the camera crew that's gonna come in and shoot you.
Oh boy!
While you're shooting Coach and Bro, I'm sorry, I had to sign off on the documentary too. I had to.
All right.
In order for this to happen.
Okay, I just thought I had to wear a suit and tie, and you and I are going to be in a conference room, the whole 9 yards, Coach,
Can you imagine? I can't imagine somebody walking into Vince Russo's house and say, hey, Vince, we want to do this, but here's what you have to do, and this is how you have to dress.
Yeah,
Can you imagine?
I can't imagine.
What would you say to that, by the way? What would you say?
I couldn't do it. I couldn't. It would go against everything that I believe, Coach. I could not do it.
By the way, did you see that I got some new gear that the PFL sent to me?
Very
How about
nice.
this right here? Yeah, I've got to get some for you too.
I'll wear it, Coach. I'll definitely.
Will you wear
it
if I get you some? Will you wear it?
Yes, put them over. Absolutely.
Okay. All right, awesome. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna make it we're not gonna hide anything from anybody. We're gonna tape an hour-long show within our show. So I always say this, Vince. Let's do everything the opposite of whatever everybody else does. So we're going to tape the show and make it very obvious when we're doing our segments what it is, because we still want people to have their voice be heard, have the super stickers be read. So real quick, tell people how they can do it, and then I'll tell them how we're going to do it.
Yeah, guys, we love you being a part of this show. We love to get your questions, your opinions, your comments, and you could do that through a super sticker or a donation. We will pull you right up on the screen, and you will be a part of the conversation with Coach and myself.
That's exactly right. So here's how it's going to change just a little bit. Since we have to deliver this show to Stadium on Amazon Prime and DirecTV, if you send a super sticker, still do everything. I can see them coming through already. We're going to advance at every break. All the super stickers that come through during that segment, we will then hit right then, and then we'll start our next segment for the Stadium show. It'll be very clean. It'll be very obvious. But rather than chop up the show with super stickers, we're going to do it at every break. Does that make sense?
1,000%.
All right. So if you don't hear it read for like 10 minutes, don't worry about it. We're going to get to every single one if you have questions, comments, or whatever it is. All right. So producer man is all over the super stickers. Vince, are you ready to start our first show?
Let's do this thing,
right.
Coach. Let's go.
All right. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen. It's time to get started on the Coach and Bro Show. What's good, everybody, nationwide, as we continue to grow week after week, month after month, and we are thrilled to bring in the Stadium Network, available in over 110 million homes, into our living rooms and into all of your living rooms as well. If you have Amazon Prime, if you have DirecTV, if you have YouTube TV, if you have, you see my point? We are going to be everywhere. Now, I can't do this show by myself. I've got a partner, my very good friend. We don't always agree, but damn it, we make great content. There he is from russosbrand.com, my man Vince Russo. Hello, sir. How are you? Welcome to
Coach,
Stadium.
I'm thrilled to be here on Stadium, but a lot of people are now comparing me. They're calling me the second coming of Eric Bischoff. And, listen, Bischoff and I have had my differences. I'm not thrilled about that. But, Coach, listen, I'm going to fess up to it.
Okay.
I'm riding the coach's coattails. Look at where I am because of the coach. This is Coach's baby. He handed it over to me. Vince, come on board. So, Coach, I just want to first give credit where credit is due. You've built an unbelievable platform at Stadium. And, brother, I am not going to let you down.
I know you won't, but I got to be honest with you. As long as we're confessing, I had a long call with the Stadium execs the other day. And they said, Coach, we do not want to hurt your feelings.
Uh-oh.
But without Vince Russo,
Uh-oh.
we would not have greenlit this show on Stadium. I said, whoa, I've already got a 5-day-a-week show. They said, without Vince Russo, not greenlit.
I find that hard to believe. Coach, I think you're being very, very humble. So, I mean, seriously, Coach, aren't you a former tag team champion?
I am. But I'm not a former world champion.
Well, okay, let's neither of us be humble. We're both great. We're both great.
Right. We're both
and
great.
That's why we're on. And Stadium's great.
And we would never. You know what Stadium would never do, Vince? They would never promise something and then take it away. I don't think they would ever do that. But that was a big theme this week. And that's going to be our number one topic here on the show. Also coming up in about 15 minutes or so, we're going to be talking TNA and NXT. Is that better than WWE, than bottom of the hour? We're talking Saturday night's main event. Then in 45 minutes, what does this mean moving forward? All that coming up in the next 57 minutes or so. So, Vince, when this announcement came out last week, we have not had a show since this happened. I was shocked. I'm still shocked. I'm still trying to figure out ultimately what's at the core of this decision, even though you and I talk about it all the time. Could you ever believe that they would announce a WrestleMania in a city a long time ago, and now they pull it? Reports are they're going to make Las Vegas either the permanent home for WrestleMania or it'll be there like every other year, but they want essentially everything on the West Coast, it feels like. But New Orleans gets the shaft, but guess what they're going to get? Money in the Bank. But not in 3 weeks. In August of 2026. What was your reaction when you heard this?
Well, first of all, if I'm New Orleans, I'm going to tell them, you know what? You could take Money in the Bank and you could stick it where the sun don't shine. That's right? What I'm telling them. But listen, Coach, I'm going to disagree with you a little bit here.
Okay.
I was not surprised at all because what have we been talking about, you and I, for months and months and months ever since TKO took this thing over? Dollars and cents. Mm-hmm. They looked at what they made in Vegas over WrestleMania. They looked at the dollar potential of New Orleans, compared that to, can we do this in Vegas again? And it was a no-brainer. And Coach, here's my question. I'm just curious if the fan base in New Orleans, if they were even considered at all, if it was even brought up in a conversation. Guys, The Rock announced that the show is going to be in New Orleans. You've got tens of thousands of fans already making plans around it. I'm just curious, Coach, if that conversation even took place.
Well, if it did, it took place in a way of, well, we know we did it, but it doesn't really matter because we're going to do this anyway. My other question was this, Vince. Are contracts not signed? Does it mean nothing? Now, I actually agree with the move because I'm not a fan of New Orleans. I actually ended up in the hospital years and years ago in New Orleans. I'm not a fan of, is it Bourbon Street? Is that what it is? Bourbon Street? Yes. I don't like Bourbon Street. I think it smells awful. And I never like basketballs. I don't like Super Bowls. I don't like anything in New Orleans. So I don't disagree with this. But when you announce it like The Rock did, where he goes, and this is like the third thing, to me, it could be any city. It could be New York. LA, Chicago. It's a bad look. And if they want us to try to make us believe that they're not picking up every single dollar, Vince, that is on the ground right now, you cancel an NXT show because only 1,700 tickets were sold tomorrow. Well, yesterday, Tuesday, and because they weren't sold out. And Battleground on Sunday had about 6,000 or 7,000 fans. It wasn't sold out, but it was a great show. We're going to get into that in about 15 minutes. But Vince, they are now literally openly telling you, and I had all these people on Exo, Coach, you know that money is where, do you not know business? Well, Vince, I know business. I also know that we build this show on our fans, and that's how the wrestling business is built. So moving forward, everybody's going to use this decision. When anything like this happens, I think it opens up a Pandora's box that now they cannot close.
Coach, it does, but again, we've just repeating the same thing over and over. Does it matter? With this fan base, doesn't matter. I made the statement, over the weekend that I am really sick and tired of having my intelligence insulted. And that's why, I set a date at the end of the year, the beginning of next year, when I'm not watching WWE anymore. But I finally came to the realization, you can't insult the intelligence if there's no intelligence to insult.
Yeah.
And we see this fan base, no matter what they do over and over and over again. I've never seen such a forgiving fan base. And Coach, you and I have both been following sports our whole entire lives. So again, I'm telling you, I think that comes into the equation when TKO are having these conversations. I think they're basically saying, does it matter?
I got so many tweets that basically said that, Vince. They basically said to me, Coach, it's not going to matter. The fans will come. They'll continue to come year after year. And it doesn't matter, where it's held out, which I severely disagree, but it doesn't matter if you do this because the fans showed in Vegas a month ago that you put it in front of them, they will mortgage their house, they will do whatever they can to afford it. So let's look at the positives and the negatives of this. So let's start with the positives. So clearly for TKO, it's about making the highest revenue WrestleMania like they did last year. What do you think the positives would be for the fan base? For me, my number one was it's fairly easy no matter where you are to get to, but it makes that international flight from Europe another 5 hours. But this is a place where a lot of airlines have direct flights. So I thought that was a positive if you're a fan and you're trying to utilize that. What would be another positive in your mind to having it every year in the same place like Las Vegas?
Well, the only positive in my mind for the fans would be, Coach, obviously there's a lot more to do in Vegas than there is in New Orleans in this case. Even though, New Orleans, there's a lot to do in New Orleans. It's a hot tourist spot, but nothing compared to Vegas. So, if you're going to go out to, Vegas for WrestleMania, you can go see a show. I don't know if Celine Dion is still performing there. There's always something happening in Vegas. So you will, if you're going to look at it as a vacation, you'll get more bang for your buck because there's much, much more of a palette of things to do in Vegas.
Now, I looked at it from the fans' perspective, but then for my own, I don't know how many WrestleManias you've been a part of, but I've been a part of 16, I think 17 to be honest with you. And some of my best memories have been in the individual cities. Oh man, I remember when we were in Houston, this happened. I remember Toronto, it was me and The Rock before Hulk Hogan. I remember WrestleMania 16 was my first one in Anaheim, and we had the so that's what my mind does. That's where my mind goes. And for the fans, do you think to get the short-term gain, it's going to sacrifice the long-term ability to fill that stadium? Because I don't care what TKO said. We know the numbers this past month. So 3 days before, 48,000 tickets sold to night one, 51,000 to night two. Miraculously, by the time the show aired, they were both sold out over 60,000. I don't know how they got them in there, but they did. Vince, if you have fans that are flying from London, do you think that they're going to fly every year back to the same place to have the same experience, I would say that's a hard no for me.
Coach, based on what I saw Friday night, I would say that's a hard yes for me, because what I saw Friday night, I was literally looking at my television set, absolutely dumbfounded. What I witnessed Friday night, again, you can't insult the intelligence of non-intelligent people. I saw this place go wild after the reappearance of a Wyatt Six. And we got the holy you-know-what chants. This is awesome. And I'm like, wait a minute, guys. The last time we saw Wyatt Six was at least 3 to 6 months ago.
At least.
And they were laying flat on their backs. They were beaten. WWE didn't know what to do with them. They totally disappear. And the lights go off and come back on. And people are going nuts. Coach, I'm telling you, with this fan base, the answer is yes. They will come time and time and time again.
Take me into the writer's room for a second, because we won't have to wait much longer. As soon as Unreal comes on, I won't have to ask you these questions. But take me into the writer's room when they're writing SmackDown the day before Saturday night's main event, and they're trying to figure out what they're going to do. And anything with Bray Wyatt, I will never insult, because I loved him. I thought he was incredible character and all that. Genius. So that was a nice touch. Yes. A really, really nice touch. But the night before, you got all these superstars. You're in Tampa. You just had to cancel one of your shows. And if you're a writer, how do you suggest, hey, Hunter, could we go back to something that we had in December or January and bring it forward? Oh, yeah, let's go ahead and do that. And here's how does that happen in the writer's room?
Coach, something that is interesting to me, a fan pointed out to me, and I think it was correct because I was seeing some of this online. Somebody brought up to me, Vince, it was Bray's birthday. That's why they chose that date. That is fine and well. You knew 3 months ago when Bray's birthday was. So if you're going to do something on Bray's birthday, you build up to it. And then you set the table. Then you get the huge pop. Coach, they just keep showing us time and time and time again. They're not writing a show. They're booking for pops. That's all these shows are. They're booking for pops. And Coach, pops don't last. Pops come and pops go. And that's why, again, man, you're never going to get this casual fan base back booking this way.
It is, and I just wish, because there's a lot of new people. Our numbers are just going like this every single show, which means we have a lot of new people coming in, and thank you guys for finding us. But our show is kind of a reflection of what's going on in the wrestling business. If we didn't deliver good content and smart content, they're going to go away. They're not going to watch the Coach and Bro show. And I would love to have somebody in the room with TKO and their executives to say, hey, listen, this is wrong. Vince, you got 30 seconds. Do you think the TKO executives would ever listen to anybody, depending on who it was?
Yes, I think they'd listen to The Rock. Right now, Triple H is their guy. Triple H has been their guy from day one, but Triple H does have The Rock looking over his shoulder. But outside of that, Coach, I've had experiences with networks, and Coach, they get worked. The wrestlers are the best workers in the world, so there's an excuse and a reason for everything, Coach.
It's very, very interesting. We'll keep an eye on this. As soon as they confirm all this stuff, of course, we'll talk about it right here on the Coach and Bro Show. All right, still to come here on Stadium, there was a huge positive in Tampa over the weekend. It had nothing to do with WWE superstars. What are we talking about? We'll talk about it next. It's the debut, you damn right, the Coach and Bro Show on Stadium. All right, you good people out there, I told you, and you guys were very, very patient, that we will hit all of our super stickers at our commercial breaks. You guys can also kind of see how things are done. So, Vince, we got a lot. We got a lot to get to. So 45 R5 cases. Bubba said WrestleMania didn't sell out because of Easter. Vince. because of
Guys,
Easter.
Yeah, I'm not buying that, but I'm going to give Bubba the benefit of the doubt because there's no way to prove that that's incorrect. But I sincerely doubt that. I mean, my God, Coach, they used to have the Survivor Series on Thanksgiving Day and sell it out. And I think Thanksgiving is a, bigger holiday than Easter. I could be wrong, but there's no way to prove Bubba incorrect on that. So I'll give him the benefit of the doubt.
Okay. Tyler D says, great tribute to Friday to Owen. One undeniable positive, AEW is offering a platform keeping Owen's legacy out there. Vince, I will say this, if people haven't seen, I did a coaching company podcast on May 23rd, whatever. I encourage people to go and watch it because I think you know this, but I was the only journalist in the building the night that Owen Hart died. So I took everybody through start to finish what happened that night, what it was like, the aftermath, the debut of SmackDown, the launch of SmackDown. It's me, and in a weird way, my career and Owen Hart will always be like this. So whenever I hear his name, it's a weird feeling that I have because without that happening, you and I would not be sitting here right now. Yeah. Period, point blank, in the story. So I think it's a good thing when people pay tribute to guys like Owen Hart, who, I mean, you worked with him. Everybody loved him, right?
Oh, without not one person disliked Owen, and you can't say that about anybody in the wrestling business. I mean, a unique individual loved by everybody.
No doubt about it. Tyler B says, residency for WrestleMania in Vegas sounds horrible. What else is there in a desert for families? I heard most places require you to be 21. That's a good point, right, Vince?
Yeah, families is a very good point. But, Tyler, I think we're seeing they're going away from the families. I think that is clear, and I think it's becoming more and more clear. So I don't think they're looking at families at all at this point, Coach. I could be wrong. Do you think I'm wrong?
Unfortunately, I do not. And I think you don't get to be where they are by being dumb. So I don't want to insult the TKO. You don't become billionaires without being dumb. What happens, though, and I saw this video came through my algorithm the other day, Vince, where it's one of those, I watch a lot of entrepreneurial videos, and this guy that I really respect a lot said the difference between small companies and big corporations is that small companies still have dreams. They still work like we're a small company. Yeah. They work like that, right? And big companies forget about the dreams that they had. Well, the dreams for wrestling are the fans. They are the families. And clearly TKO never – I wish that they could kind of go in a time machine and go back to experience WrestleMania 3 through 20 and see how many fans made that event what it is.
Yeah, but Coach, you also, one thing people don't talk about, and I've had these discussions with many people, a lot of parents, mothers, fathers – when they go to a WWE show and they see the fan base, they don't go back. They don't want to bring their kids around this fan base.
That's interesting.
And I got to tell you, man, I don't know. Listen, I watch baseball all the time, Coach, and it's families. It's the mother holding the kid. It's the two kids eating the ice cream sundae. That's the one thing I love about baseball. It is loaded with kids. You watch a WWE show, it's less and less and less. And again, we always go back to VKM. I can't believe for 1 second that this would have been his vision.
Oh, my God. I would love to have been in the room when they announced canceling WrestleMania. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Beyond the Script says, just finished watching your video, Vince. Rudolph won the ratings?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. You never heard the Rudolph story?
I haven't.
I'll queue up my roadcast, and maybe I'll play for you a little later on. Little tease.
Our man, Tyler B., I like to call him Mr. Super Sticker.
Yes.
This may be the nail in the coffin for Triple H. A lot of creative pressure to double book Vegas when it is such an expensive market. It was easier last year when the product was hotter and they were advertising Cena's last WrestleMania. I think that's a really good take.
I think it's a great take also. And listen, man, I know people from here in Colorado, Coach, that went to Vegas from here. And it's a very short plane ride from Colorado to Vegas. But man, the people I spoke to, they said over that weekend, Coach, they were exhausted. I mean, absolutely exhausted. And if you remember, man, when you go back to the second night of WrestleMania, there was a difference in that crowd. But again, Coach, these are things I don't think are brought into consideration at all.
I mentioned on Twitter, and I've been going viral. You probably seen I've been quoted everywhere when I talked about Vince rebuying. I've been quoted everywhere. And the one thing that I've yet to be wrong about, anything. And so now all of a sudden I'm getting on all these websites because I have educated views, and I also have people that are tipping me off. Now, do I know 100% he's going to buy? I know that he wants to. All right. A couple more, then we're going to get back into the recording of our stadium show, and we'll get to other super stickers at our second break. This is working out great, Vince. This is exactly how I wanted to.
You're the quarterback, Coach. You're the quarterback. The quarterback.
Back to Beyond the Script. He says, Vince, I didn't watch the scrum yet. Did Tony have any new moves? We'll get to AEW. Get to AEW. And the nasty one says, who was the one diva that took your breath away? Who was it for you, Vince?
No, nobody was even close. I mean, Coach, I admit this, and I like to use the word smitten.
All right, let's count down 3, 2, 1 and see if we say the same one. Because I bet we say the same one.
Okay.
All right?
Yes.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Deborah.
Sable.
Oh, my God, I'm an idiot.
Yeah, man.
Can we do that again? You're right.
Yeah,
You're right.
I could. Coach, I'll be honest with you. When all the years that I worked with her, it was hard for me to look her in the eye. I'm being honest with you.
You know why I didn't say her?
Why?
Because I have PTSD. Because when Sable came back, you were there for the original Sable.
Yes,
when
I was.
When Sable came back, she started dating Brock, and you feared for your life.
Oh, of course.
If you looked at her at all. And I respect Brock, and so that it was kind of almost like a Macho Man thing, although he didn't act that way. It wasn't a Brock thing. It just was a. I
Coach,
think people, yeah.
You want to hear a fascinating story?
Always.
I wanted to bring Sable into TNA. So while I was at TNA, I called Sable, right? Mm-hmm. So after my conversation with Sable, my phone rings immediately.
Okay.
It's Kurt Angle. Vince, what did you do? I'm like, what are you talking about? Vince, what did you do? I'm like, Kurt, seriously, I have no idea what you're talking about. Vince, I just got off the phone with Brock Lesnar, and he wants to kill you.
Stop it.
Coach, what happened was I called Sable. A dude answered the phone. How am I supposed to know the dude is Brock Lesnar? I've never met
Vince,
Brock Lesnar.
What are you doing?
I never had a car. It was Brock Lesnar. So may I please speak to Sable? He put Sable on the phone. Then he calls Kurt. Who is this Vince Russo? I am going to kill him because I didn't introduce myself. I didn't know it was Brock Lesnar, for crying out loud.
Oh my God. My heart would have been thumping. It would have been thumping.
Yeah.
All right, we'll get more. That's a crazy story.
Yes.
By the way, Vince, something just came through my phone. We're going to talk about it at our second break, but I cannot believe what I'm looking at right here. And hell might be freezing over from a betting perspective. So we'll talk about that in the second break. If you have any more questions, you want your voice to be heard via a super sticker, send it in during our next segment, and we'll get to those at our second break. You guys, you catch on so quickly, and I appreciate you guys for that. Absolutely amazing. All right. Here we go. It's so funny. All right. We are back here, Coach and Russo on Stadium for the first time ever as we continue to grow. Now, we've already talked about WrestleMania moving and all of that, what that entails. But, Vince, I want to get into something positive that I saw over the weekend, and they will never admit it. They will never talk about it. But what I saw at NXT Battleground and the fact that they decided to have Trick Williams, a WWE branded NXT superstar, win a TNA title over Joe Henry on WWE television was historic. It was monumental. If you would have been in the room writing that show, would you have had him go over?
Yeah, I don't think, Coach, I don't think there's a problem with that for either side. But again, Coach, you know my mindset is always the casuals. Do the casuals know about this? Do the casuals know who Trick Williams is? Do the casuals even know there's a working relationship between NXT and TNA? You know, there's a lot of stuff like hardcore wrestling fans know all this stuff. But if you are a casual fan keeping an eye on this, Coach, you know what I always compare this to? I'll never forget the year my son was born. I said, you know what I'm going to do, man? 87. I'm going to buy every Topps factory box set of baseball cards every year, and I'm going to put them aside for my son. This is when baseball cards were red hot. Coach, by the time I got to the next year, there were now 15 different types of baseball cards. Okay, because everybody got in. So what would happen, Coach, would be I'd go to the store, so many cards to choose from. I got confused. I would say, screw it. I didn't buy any of them. And I think when you look at this weekend and all the wrestling this weekend and everything we saw, Coach, this is a full-time job. You cannot be a casual fan and follow this. That's why I think you're either all in or you're out. There's just so much out there right now to consume.
It's true. That's why I'm very honest is I know you get paid to do a SmackDown show. I will not. I watch SmackDown all in clips, because right now they're showing all the good stuff on YouTube and on social media. I don't need to watch it. Sorry, USA Network. And I had somebody send me a tweet going, Coach, you and Vince talked about the ratings falling off a cliff. Well, here's the SmackDown rating, and somebody put the fire emojis. And I'm like, there are going to be the outliers. There are going to be the nights before Cena wrestles on Saturday night's main event that people are going to tune in. But the week in, week out, I tape it. I have Cox cable. I'm not a cord cutter. I still have cable and all the apps and I have all of it because I have to. I have to be an expert in sports and wrestling. But Vince, when I see Friday Night SmackDown on my DVR, I don't watch it. I go back and watch the clips. So to me right now, I understand what you're saying because even though the 4 nights, it's supposed to be Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday in Tampa, essentially they're asking 5 nights because they wanted you to watch SmackDown, Saturday night's main event, Battleground, Raw, and then the normal NXT show.
Well, Coach, I'm also talking about AEW. Throw AEW. I'm talking about wrestling as a whole.
As a whole, not just WWE. Right. My apologies. You're right. You're right. So the reason I like what NXT did is because I like people to give me an effort because I have two clients that I represent that are talent at 2 big networks, and they live in the world of the negative. They live in the world of, well, Coach, why do you tell me to post videos all the time? Nobody's going to see them. I didn't have these. And I said, listen, if you don't try, you're never going to get anywhere. If you don't try and you think you got to have 1 million views before you get 100, you're never going to succeed in this business. So I like that, Vince. I like that they said, because I put out a tweet and a video that I said Trick and Joe Henry after Battleground, with the lack of star power on WWE shows, they should immediately be on either Raw or SmackDown. Joe Henry is 37 years old. Yeah. He's not 27. Yeah. What are we waiting for is my point. So I like that they did it. They get some attention. Now maybe we can see Trick and Joe Henry on Raw or SmackDown because I think they desperately need both guys.
Well, not only that, Coach, when you look at the deal the WWE made with TNA and, you're looking at Cena and you're looking at Cody Rhodes and you're looking at, since Cody won the title a year ago, they went a whole year with no opponents for Cody. We've had 2 title defenses for Cena, no opponents for Cena. Orton was a no-brainer in St. Louis. Truth was a throwaway. Man, if I'm them, God, is there anybody at TNA we can use to be a viable opponent for a John Cena or a Cody Rhodes? Because if not there, Reigns is still gone. We know McIntyre is going away for a little. Who's Cena facing between now and December?
And that's you're making my point for me. And I hate staying in the box. The thing about wrestling that I love is the surprises, is trying something. And the one thing that we learned from Vince was you try it. If it doesn't work, you move on to the next idea. Because in this 24/7 news cycle, people forget. So if you have a stupid idea, they move on. If you have a good idea, now you got something.
Right.
Now you got something. And that's why anybody that's in that room that says, no, we can't move Trick up yet, he's not ready. But you need him. Because he checks a lot of boxes. You let 3 of your biggest black stars walk out the door, he would fill one of those boxes. Diversity, it's a big thing in sports. It should be a big thing in wrestling. And Joe Henry is like the Chelsea Green, the male Chelsea Green. He has made more out of nothing than any other superstar the last 2 years, but he should not just be a surprise in the Royal Rumble to get a pop. Give him something.
But then again, Coach, you and I know this very, very well. That's where good old politics kick in. Because if I'm carrying Cross and I'm sitting in the back and you're going with Trick Williams now, I got a real problem with that.
And I'd be okay with that because they should be using him too.
Absolutely.
They should be using him too.
Absolutely.
Now you mentioned the how much wrestling in together. So they had Double or Nothing last night opposite of Battleground. And you know what? I got to give Tony Khan a little pat on the back because he was asked about the WWE making a conscious effort to book their shows opposite them on the same night. Here is the AEW CEO when asked about that question.
Mark Hoke, 101.5 FM, Las Vegas. How are you feeling about other companies scheduling events on top of and around yours on a consistent basis?
It's pretty consistent. I'd say it's the most consistent event head-to-head scheduling I've seen since Jim Crockett Promotions. Saw a lot of scheduling that went that way. And I can tell you this will go a lot differently than that did, Mark.
Jim Crockett Promotions. That's a long time ago. He would go on to say that it's not going to go well for the WWE if they continue to book against us. Hey, he's got some stones. He's got some cojones. He's got some, well, you know what I mean. But Vince, I want to bring you back in because I don't know that WWE is doing it on purpose, but I love the fact this is when Tony Khan should be talking a little bit of trash. It's kind of like, in the world of the UFC, people fight with Dana White. Why? You're not at the UFC level. To me, when you're asked this question by a Vegas reporter, I might add, I like that he said, this will not end well for them. I don't mind that. What did you make of that question and the answer?
Coach, I got to tell you something. I got to peel back the onion of this because, guys, this is why you watch this show, because you're going to get a perspective that literally goes over everybody's head. Okay. First of all, let's be totally clear about something. Okay. AEW is not a pimple on the arse of the WWE. Okay. No way, no how. They're not competition. They've never been competition. We know the money the WWE is making. We know what AEW is pulling in. They're not competition. Now, here's the funny part of it, Coach. If I am Tony Khan, I am going to play little Davey. I am the underdog, and look what they're doing. Look what they're doing. The counter program. Look what they're doing. I'm playing that up. But the reality of it is that's not what Tony is doing. Tony actually believes it. Tony actually believes that the mighty WWE is counter-programming against little AEW, and if he believes that, he's out of his mind. Now, if he were working and playing this up, Amen, brother. Go for it, man. Number 2 should always take the shots at number 1. But the reality of the situation is Tony Khan really believes that, Coach.
And number 2 is actually TNA right now. I mean, if we're being honest, TNA has
right.
higher attendance.
Yes.
They're getting creative with their TNA app plus. I was recently in some conversations, Vince. A few people know this, but there was an app called Fight TV that controlled the AEW pay-per-views, the ROHs. It gets a little confusing, but that was recently up for sale because Triller, which owns BKFC, there's a lot of financial stuff going on. They could have been a part of what AEW is doing, and nobody even knew it. And now it's too late because the time has passed. But right now, if there was ever a time, Vince, this is what I tell people all the time. We only got a minute left here. If they were ever to call you, if they were ever to ring your phone, I'm not kidding anymore, because the way WWE is struggling right now with storylines, and you read it in our chat are wrestling fans. They're tired of the storylines. They're tired of the Saturday night's main event, where we're going to talk about in just a few minutes. Vince, if they brought in some really smart people, give me 15 seconds, I think they could turn this thing around.
Coach, you talked about it a few seconds ago. You like when they go outside of the box. They tend to never go outside of the box in wrestling. Tony Khan would have to go outside of the box, and he hasn't in almost 5 years.
Yeah. All right. Great conversation there. Coming up on the other side, we're about halfway home on our brand new stadium show, Saturday night's main event. When TNA and NXT is getting better reviews than that, and when you only have a quarter of the time of wrestling, what are we doing? This is the Coach and Bro Show, debuting for the first time right here on Stadia. All right, you incredible people. You guys know how we put stuff together. Now, we have several more super stickers. If you're in the chat and you have a question or you want your voice to be heard, we do it at every single break as we tape our stadium show. Vince, the king of Assyria. Notice many satanic symbols in the WWE. Have you guys seen any oaths, satanic rituals, and satanic talk in the back? Do some stars get into the club? Never heard of it, never talked about it. Not even a thing for me. You, Vince?
I will tell you this, hanging around with Ben Hameen and Stevie Richards for many, many years, there are a lot of satanic symbols when you watch WWE programming. Without a shadow of a doubt. Coach and I could do a whole show on it. I could smarten Coach up to it. To get to the second point of your question, King, I never witnessed anything that would have made me question what the heck is going on here.
No doubt. No doubt. KS says, thoughts on Luke Thomas's negative remarks on PFL. I will tell you this. I like Luke Thomas. I've known Brian Campbell, his partner, for a long time. When you get stuck in a negative world and all you do is talk negatively about an organization, I've been very clear. They brought me on, Vince, in January, and I said this is going to be a 3 to 5 year thing for the PFL. We've brought in 8, just so you guys know at home, 8 former WWE employees. When you look at the production, it is next level now. We have a new director that we brought in from Fox. So what Luke Thomas does is talk about stuff that's happened previous. We're now changing because, Vince, when you're trying to change something, no matter what it is, it takes time to change what has been in the past. And a guy like, you may not even know who Luke Thomas is, but he's very negative because he's a big-time MMA reporter. I don't even focus on him. I focus on what we're doing day in and day out, and we've got momentum. And I always say a year from now, just like with this show. What's your thoughts on when you try to move a brand forward to just kind of tone everybody out?
That's exactly what I did, Coach, at WCW. What they were doing was not working. Ed Ferrara and I knew we had to tear down the house and build a new foundation and go from there. We knew that. And we had a time, schedule for it of how long it was going to take to do this. You have to do that. And that takes time, Coach. If you want to do it the right way, it takes time. Hey, we just talked about AEW. If they were going to do something like that, that's what they would need to do.
100%. And usually those people that get stuck in the, I want to tear them down so I can get clicks for my show,
right?
They're usually the ones that aren't around for very long after that positive takes place.
That's right.
Because it takes a momentum. It takes a lot of people, and we've got a lot of momentum right now. Eddie Santana, WWE needs Vince McMahon more than ever. Hashtag TKO sucks. Vince, I've been quoted a lot from this show the last week everywhere because I have conversations. People trust me. People call me. I talk to them because I don't treat this like the end-all, be-all. I've learned a lot from you, Vince, and this is not life. We're all going to die one day, and I want to have fun and deal with what's right in front of me. And what's right in front of me is a Vince McMahon who has not sold his TKO stock, and it doesn't take a brain surgeon, Vince, to think about why is he still holding on to the third most stock in the company, right?
You know, Coach, I've ever since you brought this up on this show, you know, crazy things start going through my mind. What if Vince obviously knew what was coming down the pike? He obviously knew he was going to have to take a back seat, and he was going to have to take a back seat for a couple of years, whether he liked it or not. Mm-hmm. What if he made the deal with Ari and TKO, and they were the placeholder? You guys take care of this now. You make whatever you can make. You get X percentage. I get X percentage. And 3 years when this is all behind me, this is the price I pay you to get my baby back. Now, you may think there's no merit to that. Well, there is. We know Vince McMahon and Ari Emanuel had a relationship for a very, very long time. This was not just a match made. They've had a relationship. Vince is a very smart guy. Vince obviously did not want to put it in Triple H's and Stephanie's hands after they voted against him coming back to the company. If he would have got together with Ari and said, brother, I'm going to be tied up for the next 3 years. Here's what we're going to do. Coach, that's not crazy. That is not crazy, Coach.
I started it, and you just knocked it out of the park because I did not think about that angle of this.
That would explain them trying to make as much money now as they can. If Vince would have said, you guys do whatever you want to do, you're going to get X percent of what you make, that would answer why we don't care about New Orleans. We're coming back to Vegas.
Wow. Now my mind's going in 1,000 different directions. And for anybody that thinks this is too crazy, not only is this the wrestling business,
yes,
we're talking about billions and billions and billions of dollars. And we're also talking about a TKO group that have presented the right opportunity and said, hey, we can make this much in the next 5 to 10 years. They'll do it. They'll do it.
And you're talking about perhaps the greatest worker in the history of the wrestling business, Vince McMahon. If anybody would have been able to draw this up, Coach, it would have been Vince.
Wow.
Could that explain? That's why a Bruce Pritchard is still there. That's why a Michael Hayes is still there. Could that explain a lot of that TKO is just the placeholder?
Absolutely. All right, we're going to put a pin in this because this is a way longer conversation than at a commercial break. But damn it, I just love what you just said. A couple more. The nasty one is back. He says, Coach, you have any good stories of getting turned down by a diva or something that can make us laugh from the old days? Maybe when the show's over, I can come up with something. But do you really think your boy ever got turned down by anybody?
Oh, God, come on, man.
Seriously?
Come on, seriously.
Come on. One more or two more quick ones, and then we'll get back to the show. Got back into wrestling recently, came back at a whack time. I'm just a casual fan, and, bro, this ain't it. Stone, WILL, we're with you, bro.
That's what
we're trying to do here. Yeah,
that's it.
We're
that's
with
what
you.
we've been saying, yep.
Jacob says, Hippo character runs at high speed, his legs forming a ball-like blur. Hey, if you want to pay us to say that, fantastic. All right, keep those super stickers coming. You want your voice to be heard. We do it at every single commercial break on our official show for Stadium. You ready to get back to it, Vince?
Yes, sir.
All right. We are back. back on the Coach and Bro Show here for the first week ever on the Stadium Network and everywhere you find Stadium. Can't talk. Amazon Prime, DirecTV, YouTube TV, the list goes on and on. We are now available in over 110 million homes. Now, first half of the show, we talked about TNA, NXT. We talked about the WWE moving Wrestlemania. But now as we move into the second half hour, Vince, Saturday, I actually kind of planned my day and my night around Saturday night's main event. Only a 2-hour show, so I was excited. I was like, man, we've got all of these matches that I'm really looking forward to. Vince, it was almost as if they were speeding up the matches. I think total it was 37 minutes of wrestling out of 2 hours, and everything I saw online was, another commercial. Another commercial. How you beat Drew McIntyre that fast inside of a steel cage, I'll never know. But Vince, they had all their top stars, and it seemed like they went backwards, and the matches were like 3 minutes.
Yeah, Coach, I did not watch it, Coach. I had no interest of watching it. I mean, I'm sure there was a game on at that time. Any game, it doesn't matter. But, Coach, I got to tell you, when I'm reading my timeline, that's all I was reading about was the commercial breaks. But, Coach, to me, it just blows me away the things that they miss. Because here's the two things I was reading. The commercials. There was just so many commercials. The second thing I was reading was, wait a minute. You want me to believe that after Bronson Reed gave Seth Rollins 97 Tusamis, that now they're working together? I was getting that a lot. And this is what I talk about with the WWE, that I don't know what they're thinking, Coach, because the proper way to lay that out is Reed gets involved in the match. Okay. Match is over, whatever. Rollins immediately sees Reed and goes after him. Okay. Heyman is the peacemaker trying to pull them apart, and Rollins is saying, what the heck are you doing? That's the way it should have went down. Heyman made the deal without Rollins knowing. Heyman made the deal. Rollins can't stand Bronson Reed because of what he did to him. Heyman went around, and made the deal behind his back. Now Heyman's got to make everything right because this is the right thing to do. That's where it makes sense. And I watch this product and I watch guys like Paul Heyman and Triple H, and I'm like, can you guys not figure anything out? There's no way that Rollins would have went along with this plan. Heyman did it behind his back. Now you got heat between Rollins and Heyman. Heyman's got to make everything nicey nice. Now it makes sense.
And so now you could have extended that out past Saturday night, correct?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So let me ask you this, because in most times when they do a swerve like that, you don't have your stars taking massive physical hits. And Bronson Reed put Braun Breaker through the barrier before it happened. And then they did the whole shaking, and then it was almost like they sped through 3 weeks of Raw in that relationship in about 5 minutes.
Absolutely. And the only way it makes sense is if Rollins was not in on it. But I don't know.
But how do you do it in that moment? How do you separate them and then have Michael Cole speculate, and then do you carry it over to Raw where they have to get together? How would you do it?
You have to let Heyman attempt to separate it. You send Aldis and all his cronies, because obviously Heyman's not physically capable of separating it, but then you have Heyman pulling Rollins back. And all you got to have Rollins turn around and say, what are you doing? Mm-hmm. What are you holding me back for? Did you not see what this guy, and him trying to come down? Now there's something there. Now you do that whole reveal on Monday night. You bring it into Monday. That's episodic, television. Because, Coach, we have still not found out why Heyman turned on CM Punk. They've still not told us that story.
Wow, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. And that could be yet another week. I always think about it from you got to fill 52 weeks, and you got to get to SummerSlam.
Yes.
And what you just described could have been a month worth of television, and I would have been here for the end. I'm here for the group. I like the end game, but I want to be entertained to get to the end game. And if somebody laid me the hell out like Bronson Reed did with Braun Breaker through the barrier, I don't give a damn if Seth Rollins is telling me he's on my team or not. I'm not shaking his hand right there because he just broke my ribs. He just took my breath away.
That is where I talk about this all the time, Coach. You got to protect every talent on the card. You're not protecting Braun Breaker by doing that. That makes him look like a mamby-pamby. If anything, Ronson Breeze should have extended the hand and Braun Breaker should have walked away, if anything. That's why I always say it is vital to protect every character.
And then as we move forward, you don't know if Breaker's on board with Reed being in the group until at some point Reed is in some peril, and you can bring Breaker in to lay somebody out and say, he was in on it all along. Something like that.
What did they do, Coach? What I said earlier in the show. They wrote it for the pop. Oh, my God. Bronson Reed is now that's for the moment. For the moment. Not for the 52 weeks, Coach, like you said.
The other really fast things that happened because this is also, and we had a super sticker that asked about this. When you're on network TV, network TV makes a lot of money. Why? Because they have really expensive commercials. So you're going to have commercial time. I would have done more picture-in-a-picture kind of stuff. Everybody does that now. NFL does that now. You have the commercial playing here. You still have the match here. And then at least people don't say, man, Drew McIntyre, who is injured, there's been rumors, Vince, that he's going away to make a movie. That is not the case. He is hurt. He is banged up. He's going to be off TV for a certain period of time. And then you had Jesse the Body Ventura, 89-year-old Jesse the Body Ventura, who openly questioned Vince Priest leaving the cage through the door instead of over the top rope or pinfall or what. How did he just walk out the door? So then Michael Cole and McAfee and Jesse the Body are arguing over the finish as McIntyre's in there, and the story should have been he got hit with the whole chair thing and all that. Jesse the Body is an outlier who literally you can't tell him anything. He won't follow what you tell him to say anyway.
No. But here's another thing, Coach. Again, this is not going to be brought up anywhere else. We are hearing that McIntyre is going to miss some time because he's hurt.
Yes.
Coach, what was the last injury we saw Drew McIntyre get?
Well, he's lost every match that he's had, but tell me
a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Banging his head against the concrete floor.
Exactly. On SmackDown.
If this is the injury we're talking about, you're going to allow that dude to wrestle?
Concussions are a big deal, man.
I don't care. I don't care if it's 2 minutes, Coach. If that's the injury we're talking about, you're going to let that dude wrestle? Come on, man. And I don't know if that's the injury. I know that was the last injury.
Yeah. Well, it's about paying it forward. We talk about it all the time. We really need to. I need to call the executives of Stadium. We need a 2-hour show on Stadium.
Yeah,
1 hour is not enough. Not
enough.
Yeah. We still have a couple minutes left in the segment. The other things that happened on the show, they added Chelsea Green match the night before. I was excited.
Yeah.
I'm not a Zelina Vega fan. I just think she's too small for me to believe.
Yeah.
Right? And she messed up, kicked Chelsea in the nose. Out comes the blood. What does Chelsea do? She turns it into a viral moment on social media like she always does. That's what she does.
Absolutely tremendous. And, Coach, thank God I've never had my nose broken, but I can't imagine that it's much fun.
It's the worst.
For her to go right on social media and do that, that's why we love her, Coach. I mean, that's absolute. But again, Coach, this is that hurts her. because they're looking at her like Chelsea Green will always be over. Chelsea doesn't need a belt. She's going to go on social media. People are going to love her. So we can put Selena Vega over because Chelsea's going to. It's a blessing and a curse.
No doubt. No doubt. And then the Jey Uso Logan Paul match after Cena R-Truth. And they started to plant a little bit of a seed with when Cena got the belt and he thought about hitting him and then he's like, no. And you can see what they're trying to do. And I think they're going to be doing it, every time. And then they go to the low blow again, like he's been doing every single time. He rolls up R-Truth. R-Truth, they're selling his t-shirt, Marketing 101, fantastic. And then Cena has a pre-tape with Jey Uso saying, I'm ruining wrestling, taking the title home, and you're going to lose the World Heavyweight Championship to a YouTuber. And that set up Cena getting involved and Cody making his return after a month, which then led to the tag match for Money in the Bank that Cody apparently is now making matches. But it's supposed to be Travis Scott. But Travis Scott, we are hearing, is flaking.
Well, hold on. Let's get one thing perfectly clear. Cody Rhodes is coach. He's calling the plays because he's the quarterback. I don't know if you missed that, Coach. He's the quarterback, so he's.
That's where I hope you went on.
But this is, again, what I'm talking about, where I talk about you can't insult the intelligence of the unintelligent. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Cody Rhodes has disappeared from TV for 6 weeks. So here's my view on it. Regular guy, here's my view. Oh, bro, you lost. So you're sitting at home licking your wounds like a mamby-pamby. But he comes back and the place explodes.
And he looks like $1 million.
Yeah,
he looks like $1 million.
Okay, whatever.
All right, now, coming up on the other side, we're going to discuss what does this tag team match now mean moving forward. Where is Travis Scott, who was the only one who played a role in the match at WrestleMania and now is nowhere to be found and apparently is not training? More on that coming up. And also, are they making another mistake for letting Roman Reigns out to do a movie? Oh, my goodness. This is the first edition of the Coach and Bro Show right here on Stadium. All right, you guys are amazing. We got plenty more super stickers that we've got to get to, Vince. Well, Tyler, real quick, we did address I noticed there were far less ads on Saturday Night's Main Event, but much longer commercial breaks. Is that an NBC call? Well, when they negotiate, Tyler, that's what happens, is they've got to pay for the show. And when they do a deal, they've got to have enough advertising to make the numbers make sense.
But usually, Coach, let's be clear. Now, I've never written a show for NBC. I've written for other networks, and how it usually works, Coach, is they tell me how many minutes in commercial time. I format the television show and put the commercials where I want to put them. They don't care where the commercials are as long as they're getting their 20 minutes of commercial time, whatever it is. I don't know if NBC works the same way, though.
They do not. Network TV is not that way because they use the analytics and the algorithms, and they say at this particular time of the hour, it's more popular than something else. Yeah, I don't think they would, because remember when you and I used to do Raw, it was you could do a 42-minute segment.
Yes.
And then do two really quick commercials. Yeah. They want that spread out because it's just like when you're running a scripted show, you have it at like 8 minutes, 16 minutes, and whatnot. So you're absolutely right. Williams Wrestling says, great show, guys. Keep it up. Williams, thank you. Appreciate the support. The great one, am I nuts or do the matches look more fake lately? I will point this out, Vince. And I love me some John Cena. We traveled together. But he had his punches on R-Truth, Vince. They would not have dented a pillow. They were so bad. And I don't know where Cena, Seth Rollins, but it's almost like these legends need to go back to the Performance Center. Because they have forgotten what got them there. And you can do all the flipping you want, but the basic punching me right here, that's got to look real. That's got to look like you're taking the head off. And when I'm on top, guess what? I can get hit in the side of the head and I'm good. You can hit me all day that you want there. But Vince, this is it looks bad. It really does.
Coach, I'm throwing this back at you, man. I feel like we're playing tennis throughout this whole show.
I love tennis.
I'm throwing it right back at you. Did they forget? Or does it not matter? When you got CM Punk throwing punches like a woman, does it matter?
It does matter. It matters to me.
Matters to me too, but
oh my! I mean, if they're comparing this to scripted TV or movies, it looks way more real in the movies now.
Oh, no
way
doubt. No doubt. No doubt.
Ronnie from Las Vegas. Vegas checking in. Cody Rhodes returns, foils Cena, and challenges him and Logan Paul to a meaningless tag match. Shouldn't he want his title rematch ASAP, Vince?
Great point, Ronnie. You spot on. Absolutely. And that's what I'm talking about. You haven't heard from the guy for 6 weeks. Now he comes back and he wants to be in a tag team match. Really? This is what I'm talking about protecting your characters. That's not protecting Cody Rhodes. You're spot on, Ronnie.
When he made the tag team match, it absolutely, why would he care about Logan Paul?
Absolutely.
But also we know, and I've had this confirmed. Vince, I hate being right all the time. And I get crushed on like the Bailey thing. I could bring up probably 10 topics that we've had that I've gone out on a limb and said, hey, this is happening. Do you know how many of them that have actually come back and been like, nope, you're wrong, and here's proof? Zero.
Yeah. Oh, of course. Of course.
Zero.
Of course.
Zero. Because what we talk about is the truth. And from credibility, it's and this is what we're talking about.
Coach, I want to say I've been talking the whole show about you can't insult the unintelligent.
Yeah.
You can't insult. Look at the picture of Ronnie. He doesn't look like a very intelligent. You see Ronnie's thumbnail there?
No, you're not insulting Ronnie, are you? Ronnie's our guy.
But look at the picture he put up, Ronnie, of himself. You see that?
Oh, I didn't see that. Didn't see that. I'm gonna have to look at that. Ronnie, I still love you. You can keep sending.
It's a dog. It's a dog.
Oh, I didn't see it.
He's got the picture of a dog. So I'm like, is Ronnie a dog? Asking a question like that?
You're
you
an idiot,
Coach. You missed.
You're an idiot. I did miss it. Robert Rose says, "Did you see the video of HBK with the TNA strap over his arm, putting over the prestige? HBK and Triple H might be jockeying for position of ownership soon. What do you think about that?"
I saw that and I just had to laugh. 2002, TNA has been around for 23 years. It's been around for 23 years. I mean, and it's like, okay, you guys just heard about TNA?
I wonder how Tom Hannafin, who got unceremoniously dismissed by the WWE, feels, because I love him. I think he's excellent, and he got screwed over. He's the voice of TNA now. He's the voice of TNA. Tyler says, if this is just another acting role for Cena, it's not real. Why are they afraid to get heat on him? R-Truth would have been perfect. And then that leads into ringside guy that says, why does Cena yell spots and make it so obvious?
Well, guys, I think they're afraid to get heat on him because people are already chanting for Cena. And if they put heat on Cena, I think they're afraid that people will chant more. One more time, one more time. So yeah. I think that's why they're backing off of that.
Okay. By the way, Ronnie Las Vegas super sticker says, woof. I love you guys so much. What a cool community we're building here, Vince. Yeah. You know what I mean? Super cool. You have one more opportunity after the end of our stadium show. If you have any more questions or any more super stickers you want to send in, we'll answer them at the end of the show. But we've got one more segment we have to get to. So, Vince, are you ready?
Yes, sir.
All right. We continue on here on the Coach and Bro Show for the first time ever on the Stadium Network, available in over 110 million homes. Thanks you to all of you and everybody who is watching on YouTube as well. Vince, before the break, we were talking about Saturday night's main event, and for whatever reason, Cody Rhodes came out, and instead of saying, John Cena, I want you at Money in the Bank one-on-one, he made a tag team match. Logan Paul, his partner, and then you got Cena and Jey Uso, his partner. Logan Paul's with Cena. Okay, I got that right. It's very widely known, Vince, that Travis Scott was supposed to be training with Booker T, and he was supposed to be in this tag match. That didn't happen. My question is, where is Travis Scott, and why would Cody not go after Cena one-on-one to get his title back?
Yeah, I think two things. First of all, he's not going to go. They have nothing, Coach. They have absolutely nothing. So they're not going to eat that match between Cody and John Cena now.
Okay.
They've got Cena till December. They've got to get till December. They've got nothing. So the tag team match, even though it buries Cody, it buys them another month. Now, you said something very interesting here, Coach, and we've brought this up on this show before, and I brought this up with Stevie Ray,
Okay.
my buddy from Harlem Heat. Back in the day when WCW used to do a lot of crossover, bro, they were doing crossover with world-class athletes. Karl Malone, Dennis Rodman. These are world-class athletes. So when these world-class athletes got in the ring and were training to get ready, they were world-class athletes. They know
Already.
what training is. They understand. Yeah. I mean, Rodman was playing under Phil Jackson. They know what running sprints for 1,000 up and down the court. They know what it is.
Yes.
Bro, you have a Booker T training 125-pound rapper. I know Booker T. And I'm telling you, whether you're a 125 rapper or not, Booker T is going to run you through the gamut. And I guarantee you, man, once he started getting run through that gamut, hey, man, hey, brother, hitting Cody with the belt was cool.
Wait. You're telling me that,
man. This ain't
the video. Wait, Vince, you're telling me that the video of Travis Scott walking back through Gorilla and telling Triple H, man, I want to do this. This, I got this. And Triple H, yeah, there's nothing like the feeling out there. There's nothing like that feeling out there. And then when he busted the eardrum of Cody, and everybody, oh, Cody's not pissed off. Yeah. Don't tell me that he's not pissed off. But Vince, the hardest thing, I've been on record, the hardest thing I've ever done physically in my life, and I played college basketball, I played all the sports in high school, I was all state in baseball, I was a really good athlete, was training to be a WWE superstar. It is the hardest thing in the world, and when you have a bad bump, or you tweak your elbow, or you're like, I don't want any part, you run the ropes for the first time, you're so gassed that you're like, why in the world would I ever do this?
Yep.
And I guarantee you that's what look at it. Have we seen Ice Show's speed since Braun Breaker ripped him in half?
Right.
Have we seen Ice Show's speed? It was like, this is my, wait a second.
Exactly.
Braun Breaker just ripped me in half, and I didn't know how to take it, so I let my right arm down. I guarantee it's broken, and we just didn't hear about it. These celebrities, man, they don't know what they're in for.
That's it. And again, guys, when you're talking about putting them in a match, that's why we've seen athletes in the past. I mean, Mr. T was an athlete. You could tell how Mr. T was put together going all the way back to WrestleMania 1, but it's always athletes that they're going to put in some kind of a gimmick match. Come on, man. You've got to be, it takes a special animal, Coach, to be a professional wrestler. You know that, man.
And we're getting some reaction from the fans that, well, Travis Scott is a much bigger star than your favorite wrestler. That's not the point. The point is he's not showing up. He's not training. And he's the only guy, for whatever reason, they decided to have interfere at WrestleMania. Let's not forget the storyline, guys. It was just the three of them, Cena, Cody, and Travis Scott.
Yep.
That's why he's got to be brought forward. And he's not. We have not seen him, nor have we seen The Rock since Pat McAfee. And so now they're scrambling to figure this out. I have heard, Vince, and maybe it's changed now that Travis Scott is not showing up, but he's not. I have that on good authority, that SummerSlam is supposed to be a 6-man tag after the tag at Money in the Bank, but Money in the Bank was supposed to be Travis Scott and John Cena against Cody and Logan, or excuse me, you know what I mean. You know what I mean. But if he's not showing up, then you're not going to get his followers, because his followers aren't going to watch it. And to be honest with you, I don't think they watched anyway.
Yeah.
I don't think the crossover worked.
And again, Coach, these are questions you've got to ask yourself and contemplate before you get into it. Guys, we know Travis Scott is a billionaire. We know he's got an entourage. We know he's pampered and people are up his, 24 hours a day telling how great he is. Now you're going to stick him with Booker T. Booker don't care who you are.
No, Booker doesn't care.
He don't care. If you want to wrestle, okay, brother, let's see. And he's going to, how do you not foresee all of this?
It does seem like 101. And it does seem like, it's funny, when we started getting quoted on all the different websites like 6 months ago, 90% was these guys are idiots. Now fast forward 6 months, not only are we not idiots, they're like, man, these guys, not only do they make complete sense, why are they not being called by somebody? Because we're really smart. You're super smart. Every time we come up with something, we don't just bag on it. We don't just insult it. I come to you for a solution. And every single time, Vince, you go, well, should have done this. And when I think about it, I go, yeah, that would have been amazing. How come you got 12 guys in the room? Because this is a writing staff. It's not just Triple H. This is like 12 to 15 people. And nobody thought about this?
I'll tell you why.
Why?
It's the suits, Coach. It's the suits.
You're such a savage.
It's the tie choking them out. It's the white collar buttoned up tight around your neck, strangling. That's what it is, Coach.
All right, we've only got a couple of minutes left in our very first show on Stadium, and I'm glad that you didn't let the nerves get the best of you, Vince. I'm very impressed by that. As we shut things down, and maybe we'll do a little overtime on YouTube only for all you fans that want to stick around. But, Vince, we now heard that Roman Reigns is going to miss some more time to be in Street Fighter, and then Liv is supposed to be coming back. At some point, do you think that, and Drew's going to miss time, it's more about guys missing time than guys being around consistently week after week? Does that change, or does Triple H want to continue to be the babyface owner and boss?
Man, Coach, and again, Kevin Owens is even though I don't consider Kevin Owens a top guy, Kevin Owens is like the pitcher that can give you 7 good innings. You could always count on, Kevin Owens. And again, now, Coach, if we want to talk positives, okay, like I said, maybe they foresaw this coming and it was a good idea to get in business with TNA because they got some good talent there, some good experienced talent. But again, it all depends on how they're going to incorporate this, Coach, because this is going to take planning. You just can't pluck a guy from TNA, throw him on WWE programming, and assume everybody knows who he is. Coach, I got to tell you, I'm in the business. I've never seen one of Trick Williams' match. I've never seen one of them. So, I mean, that's the bottom line. This stuff takes planning, Coach, and they've shown us they don't have time to plan. There's no time with all these shows.
If they did plan, I mean, there's not a show, not a top show anyway, in America or the world that they don't sit down and plan out for months and months and months and months.
Yep. That's
what we talked about when Zelina Vega said, oh, I didn't know till I was going out that I was going to win the title, and thought that was a cool thing. It showed a lot. All right, do not forget, every single Wednesday night, 11 p.m. Eastern time, you can watch the Coach and Bro Show on the Stadium Network, on Amazon Prime, DirecTV. The list goes on and on. But, of course, we do 2 episodes a week on YouTube. We want you to be a part of all of it. That's going to do it for week number 1. For my man, Vince Russo, for producer man behind the scenes, I am simply the coach. You guys are amazing. This has been the Coach and Bro Show, only on Stadium, and there is only one. Have a great week. All right, you crazy people, you. We still have some more Vince super stickers that we got to get to, at least one beyond the script. I see a cash in for a pop. Interesting. I see a cash in for a pop, he says. Okay.
Maybe it's talking about money in the bank.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe so. Maybe so.
Yeah.
Super Hario 64 says Logan should have won. Cena needs heat. Belt a prop. It would have been interesting, but Vince, that's where it's a double-edged sword. Is if you take the belt off of Jey Uso so soon, then they're going to play into the narrative that's on all the dirt sheets now that Jey Uso is not the guy that can carry the company, because that's what a world heavyweight champion is. But in the past, you carry them at every single house show that you go to. Now they don't do house shows. So it kind of is a prop for television. So I don't know if it'd be necessarily a bad thing, since he's not the world heavyweight champion at Pittsburgh, then Erie, then Buffalo, and then Cleveland.
Yeah, but Coach, let's be honest. I know Logan Paul had a belt for a hiccup, but it wasn't the belt.
Correct.
Isn't it a little embarrassing for the WWE to put the belt on a non-wrestler? I mean, what does that really say for the rest of the talent in that company? Seriously, I mean, I kind of give them credit for that. I mean, you want to give them an Intercontinental title, a U.S. title, that's fine. You want to give them the world title, that's a little bit of a different story.
By the way, real quick, somebody asked in the chat, do you ever disagree with Vince? I do when he's wrong. And if you watch the show every single week, we disagree all the time. Just right now, I agree with a lot of what he says, but trust and believe, we fight all the time. But Vince, did you see Karrion Kross on Ariel Helwani's show? Did you see the interview?
I saw bits and pieces of it, yes.
So they asked him about the Logan Paul situation, and he put him over. He said, hey, listen, great athlete, does well, is caught on. He said, but I have an issue, like a lot of wrestlers in the back, have an issue with so much attention given to a part-time guy. And that's always going to be an issue, because the business, especially when you and I were there, was built on you grind it out 52. How many times have you seen the interviews, Vince? I'm on the road over 250 days a year. Every wrestler uses the same line. Over 300 days a year. Well, that used to be true.
Yeah.
It was Friday to Tuesday, Saturday to Wednesday, but that's no longer the case. So a part-time wrestler, when you're in a company that is saying this is an entertainment show, it's kind of like having a guest star on. We talked about Nash Bridges. If Stone Cold shows up every 3 or 4 episodes, that's okay, because he's a recurring character. This is what TKO wants us to believe is pro wrestling, that you have recurring characters so you can give guys time off. I don't know if that actually works.
Well, not only, Coach, this is the one thing I probably hate about pro wrestling today than anything else. And I'm not one of the boys. If I was one of the boys, if I was a Karrion Kross, I'd really have an issue with this. Mm-hmm. Coach, they've set a precedent that anybody can be a professional wrestler. That's the precedent they said. Doesn't matter how big you are, doesn't matter how small you are, doesn't matter what you weigh, anybody can be a professional wrestler. And if you take a YouTuber and make him a professional, make him a champion. And Coach, you can't say that about any other sport. I can't tell you how many times during the week I'm watching the WWE and I'm watching people saying they have no business being in the ring. Bro, when you're watching a baseball game or a football, hockey, whatever, bro, that athlete shits the bed. They're gone, man. They're gone. They don't have a job for a year. They're gone, bro. They're at AAA the next day. And that's the one thing I hate about wrestling, whereas in the past you had to be special. Now, if Johnny Gargano can be a professional wrestler, anybody can be a professional wrestler.
No doubt. Real quick, I had something I needed to ask you before we get out of here. And thank you to somebody in the chat. We're going to call this our YouTube bonus time every single week. By the way, AAA, solid first time here. I love this. Thank you to all of you that are finding us for that, because I'm telling you, there's a lot of you, because I see our numbers, and they're skyrocketing. But, Vince, your boys with Disco, right? He does a show with Conan?
Yes.
Right? Your friends?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so somebody the other day sent me a link. And you know what the thumbnail said?
What did it say, Coach?
Conan reacts to the coach's burying of Bailey.
I saw that.
I hit the link. It was your boy that was hosting the segment.
Disco.
Yeah,
well, he's got zero credibility, Coach. So you don't have any. He's the only guy who's got 30 plus years in the business and has zero credibility. So you got nothing to worry about, Coach.
If that's the case, then we're going to wrap it up right here. Thank you all for joining us here. Do not forget, we'll be on Thursday around 1 p.m. Eastern time. We're starting to get a little bit busier, so I'd encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you haven't already, turn on the notifications, because if we change a time, we'll put it on social media, but we want you guys to find us because we do all this together, and you guys are absolutely amazing. That's going to do it for now. Do not forget tonight, the last word, me, Big Tommy C, Raphael, right after Monday Night Raw, as soon as it is over on this very same YouTube page. For my boy, Vince Russo, for producer man, I'm the coach. There's only one. We like to call it the Coach and Bro Show.